Here in New Jersey, right down there in that section of woods, is something hidden, something forgotten about, but not something that's completely unknown. In fact, quite a few people actually come here to see for themselves. And although it's privately owned, it's been sitting here indefinitely. And I'm going to check it out today. And of course, you're invited to come along with me as well. So here in New Jersey, we have a body of water in front of us, and it's not a river, it's actually a canal. This is known as the Delaware Canal. The canal towpath is right there, which is now a public trail. But on this side is something that we're going to be focusing on. It's an old rail line, and some of it's still intact in existence. Others has been removed, like this section here. But you can still see there's ties, and there's some plates and spikes around. And a little bit later on in the video, I will tell you some history about who used to operate on this line. And as myself and Matt were walking down the trail here, I was telling him about the rails being stamped with the information markings, and we did find one that had a nice clear view. So we know this is a 130-pound rail, which is pounds per yard. It's Bethlehem Steel Company, steel to mill. Had 5 tally marks for May in 1925, so the rail was made almost exactly 100 years ago to the date, because we're here in April, just shy of May, and open hearth design, so we did get confirmation of that. Now, the one thing we don't know is when this rail was put in place. So the rail, if it was indeed placed here in 1925, it's been here for 100 years. But there's also a lot of times where rails do get ripped up and removed and put in other places and repurposed at other railroads. So we don't know when it was placed here, but we at least know they were, a lot of it's stamped right there. So we'll check later on and see if there's any other different dates. But these ones here are all 1925. And although it's kind of faded, weathered, and worn, it is still legible. And we're able to get confirmation of that. On top of that, though, as we do walk up, which is now essentially a rail trail, heading towards our destination of that item that's hidden in the woods, we are going to see a few things right here in front of us, including something we've seen before, both refurbished and in an abandoned state of condition. This is kind of a little bit of both, where it is preserved, but it's not redone how it would have been. But this is the old railroad telephone booth. I always enjoy seeing these. It's a nice little rounded off structure. And these were along the railroads for communication purposes. Typically when I find these, are tipped upside down or tipped on their side and are broken or completely tagged up. This one's a little bit of tagging, but for the most part, pretty much intact. I always like the construction of these. They look kind of unique, interesting, stand out from your ordinary everyday stuff you see in the modern day world. And next to that is old electrical junction box here, because there is a crossing behind us where the rails would have crossed. So in there's all the electrical components for the crossing, the signals, everything like that would control that. And it's just a graffiti piece now, but you do see these even in modern day, near modern day crossings where the gates come down, lights and bells, and or signals nearby. So that's essentially why they're here, just showing what used to exist, even though it's no longer in operation. But the crossing would have been right down there, probably about 100 yards. But we're going to continue up in this direction, following this rail line here, essentially walking where rails would have been at one time. And there is something up here that I learned about that we're going to check out and share some information with you about it. And beyond that, I believe there's a train bridge as well. So everything that we're checking out today is going to be railroad related, but it's going to be various stages of it. Some of it's going to be removed and gone. Some of it's still here and overgrown. Some of it is there and it's going to look completely different than it used to, and a mixture of the sorts. So we're going to press on, keep our eyes peeled, and see what else we find. A little bit further down, we came to a cleared section of rail. We were checking. These ones are stamped 1931, so 6 years newer than the first section we covered, and you can see the close proximity to the canal. We were talking to off camera saying it would be nice to kind of launch our kayaks here and just kind of float down with the current going through this area. It looks like a really nice, peaceful area, and it's got some history tied to it as well, both canal history and rail history. And just remember, back in the day, there would have been 2 lines here, this one and the one that the trail is now on. And we have something else further up. check that out once we get there. Here we are with another container box here, most likely for a signal that would have been located around here. People have left their markings with graffiti and stickers. Thought maybe this was a geocache. It's an old safe. So again, there would have been all electrical components in here, resistors or whatever else they were. And I was telling Matt back in the day, as we saw in the old Philly tunnel, we saw a smaller version of this with all the electronics still inside, but there was a concrete box next to it. That would have been a battery box for backup power in case it's ever lost power for the signals to let the trains know when they're able to pass or not, or have to stop for whatever reason. He's actually rather fascinated because I just taught him about reading the rails. So I was like, wow, I never knew that. I said, you're finding it fascinating now that the rails tell you.
1931.
31? So,
Bethlehem.
Okay. Bethlehem steel. Yep. All right, so we found something of interest right along the rails here. And right next to the body of water for the canal is this concrete structure. And it looks like it may be an overflow area. Looks like there's some tunnels going underneath the rails. So I just wanted to kind of check this out while we're here. Can you go through?
Yeah.
You know, initially I thought this was a docking area for barges to maybe load, unload with the trains. Not to say it couldn't have been, but I'm thinking more likely a spillway to keep the level at a certain height for this water. It would flow over here, gravity would take it down and go through those openings there. Made it through no problem?
Oh yeah, it's fine. And there's like this body of water right here.
All right. You coming? Come on. So it is solid concrete, not terribly old, and it comes out to this stagnant pool of water here. Looks kind of gross. It's like Swamp Thing would probably live in there. And with Matt standing next to it, Matt, can you stand right in front of it? So, big enough to walk through, but not terribly big.
Can't stand.
Yeah, he can't stand, a little bit taller than him, so we had a hunch over walking through. But stone wall, concrete, circular piping going through, serving as a culvert. And it may still get used if we do receive a lot of rain. Is that a board there?
There's a board there. So, closed.
Looks like someone may have been taking shelter in here. Jacket. Yeah, I think these might still be used and serving as their intended purpose for when we do get heavy rains. It's just basically an overflow for the canal and a dump the water out here.
Took a swim.
Almost. I do not want to go in that water. And eventually this would lead down into the river, I think.
Yeah.
Some progress has been made. We just passed through that clearing area near that overflow canal area. And further down, we came to a switch area. Now, although the switch is gone, the arm is still there and all the innards are still here for the switch. And the way the switch is aligned right now, the rails are going to be veering off to the right. The reason being is because if they were to keep going straight, there is an obstruction. There is an abandoned train car. I'm gonna get up there, give you some visuals of it, share some history of that baggage car, and tell you more about the lines that used to operate here. And I think at one time there were multiple cars here. I think there was 2 coach cars and possibly a hopper car as well. Those ones have been removed. This one is still here and its future is unknown, but like I said, it is privately owned. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Before we get to the train car, we just spotted as well more of the workings of this switch area. So right here is the frog area. So it's kind of like a wedge shaped, and the way it works is whatever line is tracked for the train to go through, for example this one here, there's this guide right here. So the flange of the wheels on the left-hand side, or the inner side here, would ride inside that little groove. That would help keep the wheels aligned on this track and basically glide across the frog to meet up with the track it's supposed to be on. Same thing for that side. That side also has a channel where if it's on that track, the flanges would ride inside that guide, and this side would ride on top of the frog to help keep it on line. So Matt, said it's worth pointing out because this is something you don't see on a lot of rail trails. I also said I'm surprised the rails are still here. A lot of times they do get ripped up. One of two lines are gone. This one's still here, and it's great to see that the switch and the frog is still intact. And also, there's tons of plates, spikes, other hardware for the rails, but then an actual rail car itself. So it's kind of all pieces of the puzzle that help tell a story. Well, we hit a little detour, squirrel moment. Matt looked off to the side, noticed an embankment and some water. And down here we do have another, I guess you could say, water control system, culvert, completely made out of stone, and water is actively flowing through it as we speak, coming towards our direction. So that's water coming from the canal. Most likely, again, another control method of keeping the levels from going too high. This one, though, is completely made out of stone. Retention walls on the sides, and then you got the stone arch. Now, if I was here in the right time of year, didn't mind my feet getting wet, wouldn't be opposed to walking through it. You'd have to be hunched over, though, but the water is clear here. It is canal water. And again, flowing out, heading down towards the Delaware. Well, here we are, something hidden in New Jersey, not too far from civilization, and it's privately owned, but almost abandoned. It's been left here indefinitely. But before we explore it, I do want to share some details with you on my cheat sheet here. First off, about what used to exist here beyond just this car. Back in 2022, there was 2 additional cars that were removed from here. There was CNJ, which is Central Railroad of New Jersey, coach car number 1318, which was purchased in the 1970s along with a Conrail hopper car, and they were both stored here. So there would have been, I believe, 3 rail cars here at one time. And right now, it's only this one, which has been left here indefinitely, but it is privately owned. This is ex-New York Central baggage car number 8052, owned by the Black River and Western Railroad. So clearly a baggage car. Upon walking to it, I was saying to Matt, I can't tell if it's baggage or mail. They look similar. It is definitely baggage. Now, to tell you more about the lines that would have ran through here. So starting out was the Belvedere Delaware Railroad, not to be confused with the Belvedere and Delaware River Railroad Company. Really similar, 2 different companies. The one that did operate here, simplified as the Belldel, operated from 1851 to 1871, only a 20-year span, and it was a railroad running along the eastern shore of the Delaware River from Trenton, New Jersey, north via Phillipsburg, New Jersey, to Monongahchunk, New Jersey. Hopefully I said that right. Much of the service involved transportation of freight. In 1871, Pennsylvania Railroad took over ownership of the railroad and used the line to run both passenger and freight service. In March of 1970, the Black River and Western Railroad, which owns this, took over the operations completely. Freight service ended in 1995, and shortly after, in 1998, all passenger service to Lambertville ceased. Of course, we're in Lambertville, New Jersey. The Black River and Western Railroad, simplified as BR&W, was started by William Whitehead in Old New Jersey in the late 1950s. BR&W was officially incorporated in 1961. And the East Line, which we're going to check out, which is going to branch off away from here that we saw, served as a branch line and terminated in Flemington, New Jersey. So hopefully it helps you understand what was going on through here, both passenger and freight. And the initial line only operated 20 years. Pennsy took over, and then Black River and Western operated until the 90s. And for whatever reason, this was left behind. And I say indefinitely because they didn't remove it. They left this one here, took the other 2. And as far as I know, there's no plans for it. And it's not landlocked, but it can't be rolled out of here without some work being done to the rails and some tree growth growing in. But right now, I know Matt's probably chomping at the bit to get inside and check it out. So we're going to climb up this makeshift ladder, scope it out, make sure it's safe to go in, and then I'll bring you aboard as well.
Oh, this is easy.
Easy? The floor is partially rotted. All All right, so we are officially inside the baggage car. Oh, it's got the sliding mechanism to lock into place.
It's not pivoting too well right now, but yeah, normally it would.
Yeah. So we got some exterior access there. There's the coupler. You see the material, these were joined up next to each other. Would have been like a little buffer to kind of stop air and keep the cars from slamming into each other when they do couple up. Big steel heavy door. And as Matt was explaining, locking mechanism which would slide into that side and this side to lock it on both sides. There's also another lock right there. Takes like a square key to turn that. You can see recessed lighting it looked like it had. And looking through the center here, primarily gutted out. Those big doors on the sides would have been for the loading, unloading of luggage. And these racks right here would have had obviously wood on them to place the luggage in place or any goods they were transporting.
Insulation.
Yeah, insulation is almost non-existent. It's also daylight coming through, so there's a lot of rot. Got steel plating right here through the center, some wood on the sides. There's also some plumbing and piping there. It's like something would have been inside of here.
Howdy.
Hello. May have been a heating unit, possibly, for electrical components. Looks like a plug or a switch right there. Some conduit running up. Some old beehives. So that's electrical, I believe. Is that? You think that it's electrical, Matt?
Looks like lighting.
Yeah.
Each one of those plates.
It also looked like back here. It looked like maybe recessed lighting, but I don't think they would have had it back then, though. You see that?
Now, what year was this from? This car?
I don't remember. Let me see if it's on my sheet.
I don't think it said it.
I don't know that. I could probably look up online.
I think that's more ventilation because I can see daylight out there. Maybe it was like an air shaft.
I initially thought that was recessed lighting. I don't know why I was thinking that. This is too far before that time to have recessed lighting. Matt thinks possibly a vent because there is daylight coming through, so there's a possibility that something was maybe mounted here and a pipe went through there possibly. But I think all the lighting was overhead lighting with these little boxes right there, junction boxes. So don't mind me, definitely was not paying attention to what we're looking at and how old it is.
Now, is this heating here?
That looks like heating, yeah, it's like a radiator.
Sure.
Yep, radiator's behind there.
The flooring, is there reasons why there's different layers? You know, you have your main boards, you have smaller boards laying over top over here.
That's a good question. That I don't have the answer to.
Generational changes?
Yeah, maybe when their repairs were done, they were using different materials. There's obviously like a steel subframe. There's steel running down the center, but there's definitely wood in different sections. These are sliding doors here. You can see the rollers up on top. It's almost like sliding barn doors.
One thing I want to point out, this paintbrush and that cup and the flung paint up there, it's not sprayed, it's like flung like this.
Yeah, it's like splattered.
Splattered up there. I'm guessing maybe with this.
And look at that paintbrush. Looks like a spatula. Hold that up again. Now, I mean, unless I'm mistaken, this looks too far gone to be renovated, refurbished, to make it either a museum piece or a practical use rail car. Not to say it can't happen, but I think it's too far gone where there's a lot of rot and rust and probably just not that much significance to it to restore it. Look like somebody may have been calling this place shelter at one time. Some cardboard. It's like a trench coat, a towel or a blanket. And then coming out this side here, looking at the other end, you see the tree growth. It's been here for a while. This car cannot move if it wanted to. And not sure even if the rails would still hold the weight since they haven't been maintained in a few decades now. But this is more or less a art canvas for graffiti. Here's another one of those holes. So it's definitely not recessed lighting. You may be right for ventilation.
I think as the train is flowing, air comes in one and out the other. Some crosshair inside.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. A lot of doors in here too. So we got the main doors that we came in. We got the sliding doors here. We got these man-way doors at both ends to connect to the other cars that would be attached to it. So I will say it's holding up fairly well, but it is pretty bad shape. Let's see, a little knob right there. Put a padlock right on there. I do like this style of door though. I seen it on a barn recently that had the almost identical type of rollers. It says Midland. So that turns, turn that again. And what does it do on the outside?
I'm not sure if it's hooked up. You ready?
Can't see it. Oh, okay. Do it again. Huh, I don't know what that's for.
Comment below.
Yeah, if you happen to know, share it in the comments. Still works, whatever it is. There's a chain coming down from it too. Yeah, that's moving the chain.
And if you look on here, a knob I guess would have mounted on the square parts. Nut, cotter pin.
There's a light switch there would have been. And again, these doors would have had those sliding locks, so one arm would go through there. And same thing on the other side, except this one is missing the locking mechanism. Look at the hardware of the hinges too. Incredibly well built, still moving fairly well. So Matt was pointing out near the roof, there is piping running down on both sides. And some of them are hooked up almost like drive shafts with a coupler or like a universal joint. And they could swing out and move. So I don't know what their true use was. I thought maybe for plumbing, but it doesn't appear to be. There's nothing running through them and they're able to be moved. So it's new to me to see that. So again, those of you with knowledge, feel free to educate us down below in the comments. But they're pretty much all over. There's even one above you guys that would unhook there and swing out. So they're all over up top here.
You can see when they're not in use, they're in the rack.
Yeah, they're stored in those little,
above.
And they're all on hinges, so they could swing out both directions. Maybe hard to come through on camera, but this wood right here is charred. It is burned up. Maybe the flashlight will help. Yeah, that's all burned. So it would have wood on the inside. And since there was a fire, it most likely burned away any existing insulation. That's why it always pays to have another set of eyes. Things you may miss, the other person may catch. So, although I did see them, I didn't really pay close attention to them. I mean, aside from a few rotted areas, I mean, it's still fairly intact.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel comfortable walking through here.
It would not be going down the rails anytime soon.
Yeah. As far as like a static piece, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
This is a neat finding. Just kind of tucked away, hidden, forgotten about by the railroad, but not forgotten about by explorers. And it's legal to come here and explore it too, right along the rail trail. And it's actually labeled on Google Maps as the Lambertville graffiti train. So if you search that, Google Maps will take you right to it. There's a parking lot for the rail trail, and you can walk to it like we did. Honestly, not difficult to get to at all. We're gonna hop back outside, check out more of the exterior, both sides of it, see if we have any more details we could share, and otherwise we're gonna continue on past this on the east line where there's a bridge up ahead. Looking down at the truck set, as this is called, aside from the springs that are compressed over time, we do have something I talked about in the past known as journal boxes, but when they start smoking, they're known as hot boxes. And this one's open, so you can get a clear glimpse on the inside. So around that bearing, especially on the bottom, is a cloth. It's kind of folded up there, and it's soaked with oil. That is the lubrication of that bearing. So when the train is moving, the the wheel spinning, that's rotating as well, and it gets lubricated with that cloth soaked in oil. Now, what the conductor will be doing is sitting in the caboose.
You guys happen to see a cell phone laying around?
No, I haven't seen one yet. Sorry.
We saw glasses though.
What's that?
We saw glasses, no phone.
Looking for a phone. So back in the caboose days, they would sit up there in their cupola, keeping an eye towards the forward part of the train, and look for any of these journal boxes that were initially, I should say, essentially turning into hot boxes. They'd be smoking, meaning the oil dried up. They'd have to stop the train. The conductor would have to walk over here, open the hatch up, and oil it. And that's basically how they worked in the older days. Now they're more modern roller bearings. And that one is spring-loaded. That one also has the cloth and some oil in there as well. So good visual representation of things I've talked about in the past. Don't put your fingers in there.
New York?
Yeah, New York City I saw, or New York, no, sorry, New York Central. That's right, this is a New York Central baggage car. So NYCL, I don't know what the L's for. But we know it's a former New York City, I'm sorry, New York Central train car.
Here's a braking mechanism.
Yeah, is the pad still there?
No.
Oh, the brake shoe's gone.
And then there's a lot of cut pieces of metal up here.
Yeah, like the underworkings, there's like, that's piping, there's like a knob there for like a faucet, almost like control valve. See around the other side what it looks like, but here's the outside of that buffer material I was talking about, which is not intact anymore, but it'd be almost like a cushion. So when the cars join up to each other, it'd form like a seal, but also protect it from doing any damage as well. And around this side here, not as much graffiti, just some older stuff, a lot more trees growing around it. But it is kind of beautiful in its own way, although I'm not a fan of graffiti like this. Just seeing this car on static display being long ago from when it was last in use, to now being almost an attraction of sorts here. And this is the east line, so we did see the split, not the split,
Switches.
the switches and the frog. So this is the east line. We're going to follow this for a bit longer. This is going to take us to a train bridge, but the main line that went for further distances would have been either the one that this car is sitting on, or would have been where the rail is now gone that I talked about. So right now we're going to cover some ground. I believe we're going to be crossing over the Delaware Canal here, and we'll see if there's any significance of that bridge, whether it be dating, rails, or if it's just a connection now for the trail systems. Okay, so that line right there is the line that the baggage car is sitting on. That does continue up along the trail. And as mentioned, the east line does branch off as a branch line and terminates, I believe, in Flemington. Yep, Flemington, New Jersey. So this is just a small girder bridge. Rails are still intact. There's no real manway, because this wouldn't have been something that would have been crossed by man. Just a single line coming over this, and looks like it's fairly intact. I don't think I'm gonna have any problems walking across it, but it's gonna give us connection to the canal trail, which we could get down there and give you some side views of this. So it's not terribly long, not terribly high. Oh, look at that, Matt. Oh, it just went underwater. It's like a, I don't know what kind of bird that was. So since this line, this branch line does go to Flemington, New Jersey, this is known as the Flemington Train Bridge. Simple, clear cut and dry. But one thing I'm absolutely loving is that the rails are still intact around here. So in the future, based on the response of you guys watching this video, if you'd like me to trace, not so much this line, because we know a dead end's not too far ahead, but the other line and also the canal trail, it'd be a great e-bike adventure. Me and Matt were talking about it, not only coming down in kayak, but also riding the trails themselves, whether it be the train trail or the canal trail. It would be an excellent place. And I don't have a whole lot of exploring history in New Jersey for reasons I've stated before. So this area doesn't seem too bad. A lot of great people around here, friendly people, well manicured trails, and a lot of history as well. So to follow the canal trail and or the rail trail is something I'm definitely interested in doing. And if you want to see it in video, well, let me know your response down below. So subsequently, while Matt was looking up the name of this bridge, he did find a Google review, which actually shares some history about this bridge. So I will insert that into the video now. You're welcome to pause it to read it. But here's a side view from the canal edge. Water is not too deep here, and there's some individuals walking across it now, so you'll be able to get a better sense of scale as to how it looked when we were walking across it. But not a really lengthy bridge, just a short steel girder bridge, one concrete support column or pier, and the bridge abutments going across diagonally. And it looks like something was posted there as far as like a name with lettering, and some of them are missing now. But Flemington, New Jersey branch line. Underneath the bridge now on the canal trail and along the fence line are dozens, if not hundreds of locks. Some of them are actually really unique. This one is an elephant. Even some older heart-shaped kind of skeleton key locks here. Really neat. And Matt is asking the significance. I think it has something to do with like falling in love. Like this one says Ruth Ann, loved forever. So you put your initials or a date of when you fell in love or maybe met, and it kind of locks your love in place. If there are other meanings, let us know. Maybe to remember loved ones. But some of these are pretty ornate though. This one's all like cobblestone, and you got some more modern ones here. But they're all along the fence line here. All different shapes, colors, sizes. Well over 100 of them.
This one, you gotta look at that.
What is that?
A fish.
Wow. I never even knew some of these locks ever existed. You know, you think of a lock as just like a lock, and then you got Hello Kitty, a ladybug.
A camel.
A camel, we saw an elephant, a turtle. Wow. These are like kind of neat little Easter eggs to come check this out and see all the different types. Some of them are decorated too. Look at an owl. It's got a turquoise on it. Pretty fascinating. See a lot of repeats as well. These ones are all like bedazzled out. Look at this big fish one here. Wow. That is kind of neat. It says Vinny with a heart. So I think it has something to do with love. I see them on bridges a lot too, but this one is along the canal path. And for whatever reason, someone started it and people just kept going with it. Look at that one. Matt found a Ford lock. So a few hundred yards in that direction is the train bridge that we just checked out. Showed you all the locks. Continue walking up here. You may hear a lot of noise, a lot of water. That's because there's an aqueduct area here for the old canal system, complete with a waterfall. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, there's a goose resting right there on top of that wall. So this would have went straight across. They did make a little bridge going around it. Yeah, Mama's on the eggs, Dad's down there hunting. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these look like they're original. Looks like they're opening for valves or something underneath. They go into the water. I think they would have opened valves to let go water. I see them at reservoirs and pump houses.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
It's hydro gate, and you probably turn this, and it probably raised and lowered that rod to allow water to go out to that hole. If you look, you can kind of see the track that door probably slides in up and down.
This actually is on a screw, on a thread, so when you do that, yeah, it even has up right there.
So this would make it go open.
Yeah, that would open it up.
Maybe you're telling me you can open it. As far as I guess go.
Yeah, it doesn't want to turn anymore. Yeah, the water would come out through those two holes for those two mechanisms. Got a good spot there.
Yeah.
Just noticed too, if we were to follow that Flemington line that dead ends in Flemington, New Jersey, and if we kept going, it would have brought us to another train bridge, which you can see through the branches there. It's hard to pick it up, but it is back there. It's another girder bridge, and looks like it maybe turns into someone's property after that. So the line does keep going. There is a secondary bridge, but looks like it may be landlocked by other property. So we were walking the canal path, came up to here, and comes to a trailhead. There's a parking lot, another bridge. Some people are fishing here. As far as we could tell, the canal does not keep going here, but the rail trail does. So that's going north. This is going to take us back towards the graffiti train. So we kind of did a big loop, just kind of wanted to put things into perspective. We do know that the canal path goes for at least 15 miles, as we saw a trail marker. Not certain how long this one goes for, but regardless, there's actually a section of rail right there. We're going to do some research in the off time, and we were thinking maybe coming back here in the fall season when foliage is changing and riding this, because it makes for some beautiful colors and scenery, and obviously it's loaded with history with the trains, the canal, and a bunch of other things. So we're going to walk back to the graffiti train and past it. We'll see if we find anything that we missed in this section, and like always, if we do find it, we'll share it with you. All right, so we're now on the other side of where we were standing before, where the Mother Goose is laying over there. We're on that bridge, and we were showing you this bridge from that side, and something wasn't making sense to us, because we're looking, there's water up here, there's water on the other side, and there's water down below here. Like, what's going on? We realize this is an aqueduct. This is a water bridge. So this is part of the canal that is suspended by a bridge. So the water is flowing basically above. It's really neat. I've seen this in one other area down by eastern Pennsylvania, where there's another similar aqueduct system. So there's water beneath us and water above, but there's hollow space. So that is a bridge holding that channel of water. That is really neat.
See the wood forms in the concrete.
So we were speculating on that bridge, how deep is this water? We didn't know. Now we know. It's as deep as that. It's about 10 feet deep. And down here in the water is a type of structure that is submerged. There's beams down there. Looks wood and almost looks like rail ties. Maybe something that was used to build this, or something that would have existed here at one time. Parts of this maybe, but it looks like they're intact, like they're connected. A super fascinating area. Train bridge, water bridge, pedestrian bridge, all in one area.
And that would have been a train bridge over there. So it had two lines here and a line over there, right?
No, that would have been the
the towpath.
The towpath for the mules.
The other bridge.
Yeah, that went off to Flemington.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so, oh, there's a third bridge, right? Or is that the same one?
The one you pointed out over there.
That's the same one, okay.
The line split. This is the towpath for the canal.
Right.
These are two lines, and that's that line is split.
So that's the Flemington line, and that's the tow line.
Got it.
Okay. Well, here we are, back kind of where we started. And let me just say initially that this was supposed to be a relatively quick video. Coming here, basically only had plans on checking out the graffiti train and the train bridge, and lo and behold, we discovered so much more. From having the canal system here, to learning there's a trail following that, as well as the rail line, finding different parts of the rail line, the switch, the frog, leading up to the train car, and then the bridge branching off. And then beyond that, we found like the old spillway going under the rail line, and then the aqueduct system with the levitating water almost. So it was a really eventful day exploring here in Lambertville, New Jersey. And I have to say that this place actually gives me hope that there's places in New Jersey worth coming to check out. I've had such bad experiences in the past in Trenton, and previously in Camden wasn't the greatest to begin with, but here it's a different vibe, different feel, and it's a really popular area. Loads of history with the canal, the railroads, and it's public access too. You know, you're allowed to come here. Everything we access today, you're allowed to do. So if you want to come here and find it for yourself, just go on Google Maps and search Lambertville graffiti train, and it'll show you exactly where it is. There's parking nearby. Regardless, Matt, myself, and his wife Jess will be coming back here in the fall to do a bike ride on both trails. But if you want to see that in video form, again, leave your feedback down below, because we're going to do it regardless. If you want to come along as well to see the foliage, maybe some new findings along these old rail trails and canal paths, tow paths, well, your feedback is going to determine if that's going to happen or not. But regardless, I will be back in the future because it's a gorgeous area. Went according to plan, a little bit lengthier than expected, but that's a good thing when you keep finding more and more things to check out. And a lot of things we learned as we went. And Matt was super helpful with kind of pointing out things in the train car and just things I maybe missed from being busy filming. He's an extra set of eyes, helped show a few things that I didn't catch initially. So I do want to thank him for coming along as well. And to see more videos like this, there'll be a playlist down below as well. Otherwise, thanks so much for coming along. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.